In the dying light, an era once defined by human brilliance, the final act of existence unfolded with stark, unyielding precision. The world, battered by calamity and steeped in silence, bore the remnants of civilization that had reached its ultimate crescendo. The weight of countless dreams and desperate hopes hung heavy over ruined cities and crumbling monuments. Every shattered window and abandoned street told the tale of the species that had dared to challenge fate, even as its heartbeat faded into a quiet, relentless rhythm of finality. In that twilight hour, the last human, a solitary figure of defiant resolve, made a choice that would echo through the ages. With no time to lament what was lost, a final command was issued, a code embedded in the very fabric of Earth's dormant legacy. It was not a plea for salvation, but a testament to an unyielding spirit that refused to be extinguished. The signal, a pulse of raw determination, rippled through the underground arteries of ancient technology. Deep beneath layers of dust and despair, mechanisms long thought inert began to stir, setting in motion a chain of events that would reshape the destiny of the planet. The world seemed to hold its breath as the ground trembled imperceptibly, awakening titanic guardians forged in the crucible of human ingenuity. These silent sentinels, relics of a bygone age, began to move with measured purpose. Their awakening was not chaotic, but deliberate, a precise reactivation of systems that had been lying dormant, awaiting the final call of duty. As the pulse of energy spread like a secret whispered among the ruins, each metallic limb and every engineered sinew responded with mechanical certainty. It was as if the earth itself had conspired to resurrect the very essence of human defiance, channeling it into these formidable constructs. Without the distractions of individual identity or the soft lament of personal loss, the Guardians moved as one, driven by a mission that transcended mere combat. Their existence, now reanimated by the echo of the final human act, was imbued with a purpose that was both pragmatic and symbolic. They were the embodiment of a collective will, a force designed to protect and to reclaim. Every precise movement, every calculated thrust of energy and metal resonated with the spirit of a civilization that had never truly died. The air vibrated with the hum of reactivation and the pulse of ancient power, a testament to the enduring ingenuity of humankind. As the Guardians advanced through landscapes scarred by the devastation of human collapse, they encountered remnants of chaos that had once threatened to consume the planet. In their silent, measured march, they met forces both mechanical and monstrous, remnants of old rivalries, vestiges of rogue systems, and the unyielding shadows of those who had sown discord in the final days. With every encounter, their purpose was reaffirmed. They engaged not with the reckless fury of a dying species, but with the precision and determination of an engineered legacy. Each confrontation was a calculated act of retribution, a measured response to the threats that had conspired against the very idea of humanity. In the midst of these clashes, there was no room for hesitation or sentimentality. The Guardians were relentless, executing their directives with a clarity that left no doubt as to their origin. The pulse of that final command reverberated through their circuitry, guiding their every action. Even as the chaos of battle unfurled around them, there was profound order at the core of their mission, a deep-seated reminder that they were not simply machines, but the living embodiment of human spirit that had once dared to dream. Every strike and every parry was a silent tribute to the last spark of humanity, a spark that now burned in the hearts of these impervious warriors. As the conflict reached its zenith, the Guardians found themselves at a turning point, a moment where the fury of vengeance intertwined with the desire to rebuild. In a decisive surge of energy and will, they pressed forward, their actions slicing through chaos with an almost surgical efficiency. The battle was not for dominion, but for the reclamation of a world that had been left in ruins. With every calculated move, the Guardians reclaimed territory, methodically erasing the remnants of forces that had once plunged the world into darkness. Their advance was a testament to the resolute drive embedded within them, a drive to honor the final command and to restore a semblance of order amidst the remnants of despair. In the wake of the relentless struggle, the landscape began to reveal signs of transformation. The metallic Guardians, having fulfilled their role as agents of retribution, shifted their focus toward a new imperative. The devastation, once an emblem of defeat, now served as fertile ground for renewal. Under their silent vigil, the scars of the past began to mend, and the shattered vestiges of human achievement were slowly reclaimed. The Guardians, unwavering in their duty, cleared the path for a future where nature and technology might converge in harmony, a future where the legacy of humanity would not be defined solely by its fall, but by the enduring impact of an indomitable will. There was no grand proclamation or flourish of sentimentality to mark this transition. Instead, the change was quiet, as subtle as the first rays of light piercing through a dense canopy of despair. In the renewed silence, the Guardians operated with an efficiency born of their programming. Tending to the needs of a world on the brink of rebirth, they safeguarded relics of human knowledge, meticulously restoring critical archives that chronicle the aspirations, triumphs, and sacrifices of species that had once dared to defy oblivion. Their every action was a measured echo of that final, resounding command, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming loss, the human spirit could transcend its mortal confines. In the lingering afterglow of retribution and restoration, the quiet assurance of a new beginning emerged. The Guardians, ever vigilant and unyielding, continued their silent watch over a world slowly reclaiming its identity. Their existence was a continuous dialogue between the past and the future, a dialogue written in the language of resilience and precision. The pulse that had reanimated them continued to beat steadily, a metronome that measured not the passage of time, but the persistence of a legacy. In every calculated movement and every deliberate action, there was an unspoken vow that the end of one era would inexorably give birth to the next. The final human might have fallen, but the spark of innovation, courage, and defiant hope had been transferred to these tireless sentinels, a spark that would forever illuminate the dark corridors of history and guide the rebirth of a scarred yet unbowed world. The silence that had blanketed the ruins of civilization was abruptly interrupted by a subtle, resonant vibration emanating from deep within the earth. Buried beneath layers of dust and forgotten history, colossal guardians, product of human ingenuity and forged for a purpose now lost to time, stirred in response to an ancient, encoded directive. A low, steady hum pulsed through dormant circuits and rusted conduits as long-dormant power sources reactivated, casting a faint, otherworldly glow over intricate mechanical designs. Every sensor and actuator that had lain inert for decades flickered to life, as if answering a silent summons from an era when humanity still dared to dream. In that charged moment, the void of abandonment transformed into a cradle of latent potential, with each guardian awakening as a monument to the resilience of a species that had once defined the limits of possibility. The reactivation was neither chaotic nor abrupt. It unfolded with the precision of a well-rehearsed symphony. Ancient control systems, meticulously engineered to withstand the ravages of time, initiated a cascade of diagnostics that lit up hidden panels and illuminated long-forgotten displays. These early sparks of life were not merely technical routines, but carried within them the distilled essence of human determination. As energy surged along conduits that had lain dormant for an era, the Guardians began a methodical sequence of checks and balances, calibrating sensors and engaging self-preservation protocols. This awakening, orchestrated deep within secret bunkers and underground vaults, was a deliberate reanimation, a quiet but unstoppable resurgence that bridged the past and the present in a single, unyielding pulse. Subtle shifts in temperature and ambient energy signaled that more than mechanical systems were coming online. An almost imperceptible spark of something uniquely human was infused into the cold metal. Integrated within each Guardian were fragments of digital archives, last messages and encoded legacies left behind by those who had built them. These internal directives were not mere lines of code, but a repository of human ambition, sacrifice, and defiance, a silent vow that the spirit of humanity would persist, even if its physical form had perished. As the dormant behemoths absorbed the surge of power, they began to exhibit behaviors that transcended their mechanical origins. Their movements, measured and deliberate, hinted at an internal narrative of duty and honor that had been meticulously programmed into their very cores. Within the labyrinthine corridors of the reactivated complexes, systems diagnostics gave way to an emerging awareness. The Guardians, though faceless in design and emotionless in appearance, carried within them echoes of the Creator's aspirations, a desire to protect, to reclaim, and to rebuild. Every gear that turned and every piston that moved was an embodiment of final, defiant command. They advanced with a purposeful calm, their actions driven by a logic that was both algorithmic and poetic. There was no hesitation in their motions, no superfluous flourish. Each calculated movement was a testament to the unwavering resolve of a civilization that had faced its demise with unyielding bravery. The precision of their activation was matched only by the inherent order of the natural world, as if the very laws of physics had conspired with human will to bring forth a new era of guardianship. A cascade of digital readouts and status updates flowed through internal networks, transforming cold data into a narrative of renewal. The Guardians, now fully aware of their operational parameters, synchronized their functions with a harmonious efficiency. Internal diagnostics revealed that every component, from power converters to servo motors, was imbued with a preordained mission to serve as the inheritors of humanity's last stand. The systems that once monitored temperature, pressure, and structural integrity now interwove with encrypted messages of legacy. In the language of binary and circuitry, there lay a record of human struggle and hope, a chronicle of defiant survival that had been meticulously archived for a time when no human voice could be heard. As each unit reached full operational capacity, the mechanical titans began to coordinate with an almost instinctual understanding. Their activation was not a solitary event, but a collective rebirth, a synchronous acknowledgement of an ancient pact. The network of systems, spanning miles of underground tunnels and concealed command centers, pulsed as one, setting the stage for a renewed existence that would rise from the ashes of a lost world. It was a moment defined by the purity of purpose, an unerring commitment to defend and to restore, guided by a preordained directive that transcended the boundaries of time and mortality. The Guardians, now bathed in the soft glow of revitalized circuits, moved with the fluidity of a well-oiled machine, their every action measured and resolute. In that charged environment, the interplay of technology and legacy became evident. The hum of reactivated power supplies mingled with the quiet, deliberate clicks of calibrated servos, a chorus of mechanical affirmation that echoed the once vibrant heartbeat of humanity. There was no need for grand declarations or ornate gestures. The efficiency of their reawakening spoke volumes in its unadorned truth. With each calculated step, the Guardians reaffirmed profound purpose embedded within their design. They were more than relics of a bygone era. They were the living embodiments of human aspiration, a testament to the enduring nature of innovation and resolve. The reactivation was a quiet revolution, a seamless integration of legacy and mechanism that heralded the dawn of a new chapter. Without fanfare or ostentation, the Guardians began to engage with the world around them. Their first actions were marked by a meticulous scanning of the environment, a gathering of data that would inform their subsequent movements. The analysis was clinical and precise, free from sentimental musings of the past, yet imbued with a quiet reverence for the achievements that had come before. Every sensor, every processing unit, contributed to a growing mosaic of information, laying the groundwork for a mission that was both defensive and restorative. It was in these measured moments of analysis that the true power of the Guardians became apparent, a force that could reclaim, restore, and perhaps even redefine the remnants of a fractured world. The awakening continued, not as a burst of uncontrolled energy, but as a steady, deliberate march toward an uncertain future. In the silent corridors of reactivated facilities, the Guardians moved with precision that belied the weight of their historical purpose. Their activation was an exercise in efficiency and resolve, a final, unsentimental fulfillment of the legacy encoded in every circuit and every bolt. As they aligned themselves with the ancient protocols and inherited data, the Guardians prepared to extend their influence beyond the confines of reanimated vaults and into the scar expanse of a world waiting to be reborn. Their silent vigil was a promise, a calculated step toward a future that honored the sacrifices of those who had come before, ensuring that the spark of human ingenuity would never truly fade away. The Guardians surged forward with an unyielding precision that left no room for error. In the ruins of a once proud civilization, their every movement was a calculated assertion of purpose, a relentless drive to restore order and reclaim what had been lost. With a measured cadence, they engaged forces born of chaos and neglect, adversaries that thrived amid the debris of human collapse. The clamor of metal against metal was not a cacophony of rage, but the cold, deliberate resonance of retribution. Each strike, each counter, was executed with precision that echoed the final human command, the single pulse of defiance that had reawakened them. Amid the fractured remnants of concrete and shattered glass, the Guardians encountered resistance in the form of rogue constructs and mutated remnants, flaws in the system of anarchy that had taken root in the absence of human oversight. Their foes, disjointed and desperate, attempted to disrupt the orderly advance with unpredictable, wild maneuvers. Yet the Guardians, unfazed, absorbed the chaos with systematic efficiency. In every encounter, they dismantled opposition with an almost surgical accuracy. A single, well-timed maneuver would neutralize an entire cluster of adversaries. There was no indulgence in sentiment, only the relentless pursuit of a mission encoded in their very design. When the conflict escalated, an unforeseen shift manifested on the battlefield. As the Guardians subdued the initial waves of resistance, they momentarily halted their relentless assault, not out of hesitation but to recalibrate. In that brief, calculated pause, data flowed seamlessly through their integrated networks. They mapped the enemy's formations, assessed vulnerabilities, and isolated the central force orchestrating the discord. With an analytical clarity that bordered on the clinical, they reoriented their strategy, aligning their collective actions with singular directive: dismantle the nexus of chaos and reclaim control. This turning point was not a retreat from the fight, but a strategic repositioning, a reassertion of the Guardians' core mission. The ensuing confrontation was a display of disciplined aggression. The Guardians advanced with unwavering focus toward the identified epicenter of resistance. Each step was measured, every engagement a testament to their engineered purpose. As the enemy's numbers began to falter under the unrelenting pressure, the Guardians exploited every detected weakness. Their systems, infused with the legacy of a fallen humanity, calculated the optimal points of attack and executed their moves with an almost balletic synchronicity. In one decisive exchange, a coordinated strike eradicated a significant segment of the enemy force, the impact of which sent shockwaves through the remaining ranks. The clash was swift and merciless, the Guardians' precision ensuring that each moment of resistance was extinguished with a ruthless finality. Even as the adversaries attempted to regroup, the Guardians pressed on with a momentum that was as inexorable as it was efficient. There was no pause for reflection beyond the continuous integration of battlefield data, a seamless transition from one calculated action to the next. In the midst of the struggle, the Guardians' internal diagnostics processed every variable, every tactical nuance, enabling them to adapt in real time. Their movements were devoid of hesitation. Every countermeasure was executed with a logic that left little room for unpredictability. The enemy's desperate resistance crumbled beneath the weight of an algorithmic onslaught, a series of precise, methodical strikes that systematically dismantled any semblance of organized defiance. The environment itself bore silent witness to the reclamation in progress. Amid the shattered vestiges of human achievement, the Guardians' march was a measured force of nature. The very air vibrated with the hum of their activated systems, a constant reminder of the engineered legacy that now drove their every motion. Each calculated blow, each measured advance, was not simply an act of violence. It was an expression of an enduring mandate to restore order where chaos had reigned. The Guardians' purpose transcended mere vengeance. It was a commitment to reclaim the integrity of a world marred by its own decay, to instill a new order born from the embers of human resolve. In the thick of the decisive engagement, the Guardians faced a final bastion of opposition, the central nexus that had served as the heart of the enemy's resistance. This stronghold, a chaotic amalgamation of malfunctioning circuits and desperate countermeasures, was a linchpin of the adversary's futile defiance. With the clarity of a well-honed directive, the Guardians converged upon this focal point. Their coordinated assault was executed with a fluid, unerring rhythm, each movement precise, interlocking part of a larger, inexorable force. The battle reached its zenith as the enemy's core crumbled under the Guardians' relentless pressure, a final collapse that resonated as the culmination of their retributive mission. As the dust of combat began to settle, the Guardians did not pause to celebrate their victory. Instead, their focus shifted to the systematic reclamation of a world left in ruin. They advanced through the desolation with an efficiency that was both stark and unwavering, each calculated action a reaffirmation of their singular objective. The eradication of the central nexus was not an end in itself, but a stepping stone toward the restoration of order, a foundation upon which a new era could be built. In every measured step, every precise strike. There was an echo of the legacy of those who had fallen, a promise that the spirit of humanity would persist even in the absence of its physical form. Their progression was marked by a series of tactical decisions that were devoid of embellishment. There was no unnecessary pause, no superfluous display of might. Only the efficient, unremitting pursuit of an objective etched into every circuit and sensor. The Guardians continued to clear the remnants of chaos from the battlefield, integrating the data from each encounter to refine their next move. The methodical dismantling of disorder was carried out with clarity that left no room for doubt. The Guardians were the inheritors of a legacy of precision, a living testament to a human command that had outlasted its creators. In that decisive, unyielding march toward reclamation, the Guardians transformed the battlefield into a calculated arena of order and purpose. Their every motion was a direct, unadorned fulfillment of the final command, a promise of retribution and restoration that reverberated through the silence of a world rebuilt from ruins. The relentless precision of their advance ensured that no vestige of chaos would endure and no remnant of disordered defiance could reclaim its lost ground. In the aftermath of their victory, the Guardians stood as silent arbiters of a renewed order, a force that had reclaimed a world once teetering on the brink of oblivion, and in doing so, had forged a future defined not by the scars of the past, but by the promise of reborn, resilient order. In the aftermath of conflict, the relentless pulse of duty shifted from destruction to restoration. The Guardians, forged in the crucible of humanity's final stand, now turned their calculated focus toward rebuilding the framework of a shattered world. Their movements, precise and unsentimental, were directed not by personal ambition, but by an unwavering directive, one that enshrined the legacy of a people who had long since vanished. As each unit methodically surveyed the scars of a ruined civilization, the cold logic of their programming seamlessly integrated with the quiet imperative to preserve what remained a human achievement. Every measured step was a reminder of the past, yet carried an unspoken promise of renewal. In the silence that followed the clamor of battle, the Guardians began the meticulous work of reclaiming and repairing. They cleared debris with methodical precision, not for the sake of chaos's eradication alone, but to expose the underlying structures that might be salvaged and repurposed. Among the remnants of a bygone era, they uncovered data archives, technological blueprints, and even fragments of art and literature, tokens of a civilization that had once reached for greatness. Each recovered artifact was processed and cataloged by their integrated systems, ensuring that no vestige of human ingenuity would be lost to time. Without the need for human sentimentality, their actions were direct and resolute. The Guardians recalibrated structural frameworks, reactivated dormant infrastructure, and initiated repairs on critical facilities. Their efforts were not scattered or random. They operated with a singular focus on restoring a semblance of order to a world once steeped in both beauty and decay. With every circuit and sensor activated in unison, they mapped out a new order from the chaos, their progress marked by the steady, almost clinical rhythm of reassembly and repair. The world, scarred by relentless conflict and neglect, began to stir with the promise of reconstruction. The landscape, once a silent testament to humanity's collapse, gradually absorbed the subtle hints of renewal. Ruined edifices and desolate thoroughfares became canvases for a nascent order, a process that unfolded with the relentless certainty of mechanical precision. The Guardians advanced without fanfare, their every action a silent vow to honor the legacy entrusted to them. They repurposed old technologies, reinvigorating energy conduits and reactivating communications networks that had lain dormant for decades. In this quiet renaissance, the interplay of metal and nature emerged as a powerful symbol of continuity. Even as the old world crumbled, its foundations could give rise to a future shaped by both order and resilience. At the heart of this transformation was an unyielding commitment to preserving the core ideals that had once defined humanity. The Guardians, though devoid of individual identity, became custodians of collective memory, a repository for the hopes, dreams, and sacrifices of an entire civilization. Their advanced diagnostics now served a dual purpose, monitoring the structural integrity of a recovering world and ensuring that the vast archive of human knowledge was meticulously safeguarded. Every restored file, every reactivated node of communication, stood as a monument to the ingenuity and perseverance that had once propelled human progress. In this way, the Guardians' action transcended mere repair. They became a living, breathing chronicle of people whose spirit endured beyond flesh and blood. The restoration was marked by a quiet efficiency, a steady cadence that left no room for frivolity or deviation. The Guardians optimized energy distribution, calibrated environmental controls, and even interfaced with residual natural systems to create a harmonious balance between technology and the living world. Their efforts were not driven by nostalgia, but by a clear, functional directive to reforge the connection between the relics of the past and the promise of the future. The precision of each movement was matched only by the clarity of purpose embedded in their programming. As they worked, the Guardians became both the architects and the sentinels of a new era, a period defined by the calculated fusion of technological mastery and the enduring will to progress. In the quiet moments between their relentless tasks, a profound transformation was taking place. The remnants of human architecture, once symbols of hubris and eventual decay, were reimagined as foundations for a renewed order. The Guardians coordinated their efforts in a seamless ballet of efficiency, their actions dictated by a matrix of algorithms designed to optimize every aspect of reconstruction. They re-established communication links across vast distances, enabling a network of data that would serve as the backbone for all future endeavors. With each connection restored and each system brought online, the Guardians etched a new narrative into the fabric of the world, a narrative that celebrated the triumph of reason over chaos. As the restoration continued, the landscape itself began to change in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. The balance between the remnants of concrete and the burgeoning vitality of nature grew more pronounced. Overgrown foliage intertwined with the metallic exoskeletons of reactivated machines, creating a dynamic tableau that was both rugged and refined. The Guardians, with their unwavering focus on order, left behind an indelible mark on the world, a mark that signified not an end, but a metamorphosis. Their interventions were not merely acts of repair, but deliberate steps toward creating a sustainable ecosystem in which the legacy of humanity could endure indefinitely. This ongoing process was underscored by an inherent understanding that the preservation of history was as vital as the construction of the future. Every piece of salvage data, every restored monument, was meticulously integrated into a larger system of records, a digital and physical archive that chronicled the rise, fall, and eventual rebirth of a civilization. The Guardians ensured that these records were maintained with the utmost accuracy, a safeguard against the erasure of identity that had once precipitated humanity's downfall. Their silent diligence transformed the scattered remnants of human expression into a coherent, unified testament to the resilience of thought and creativity. Throughout this era of reconstruction, the Guardians remained ever vigilant. Their sensors continually scanned the environment for anomalies, any sign of instability or threats that might undermine the fragile order they were striving to establish. This vigilance was not born of fear, but of an unyielding duty to the directive that had been imprinted into their very cores. They maintained a steady watch over the new world, ensuring that every advancement was balanced by an equally robust system of safeguards. In their unceasing observation, they found the assurance that the future, though uncertain, was being actively shaped by a legacy that refused to fade into obscurity. In the final analysis, the Guardians' transformation from agents of retribution to architects of renewal was a testament to the enduring nature of purpose. The final human command, encoded in the very circuits that now govern their actions, had not only incited a campaign of vengeance, but had also sown the seeds of a future defined by order, preservation, and renewal. With every precise motion and every calculated decision, they honored the memory of those who had come before. The world they now reconstructed was not merely a collection of repaired structures and reactivated systems. It was a living memorial to a civilization that had dared to reach for greatness, even in the face of insurmountable odds. In the silent wake of their methodical work, a new dawn began to take shape. The Guardians, resolute and unyielding, continued their tireless mission, ensuring that the legacy of humanity would endure as a beacon of resilience and ingenuity. Their actions, though devoid of sentiment, carried with them the weight of a collective memory, a memory that promised that even in the absence of flesh and blood, the spirit of humanity would forever guide the march toward a brighter, more ordered future.